Good morning and welcome to the Committee on Fire and Emergency Management. At this time, can everybody please silence your cell phones? If you wish to testify, please go up to the Sergeant-at-Arms desk to fill out a testimony slip. Written testimony can be emailed to testimony@council.nyc.gov. Again, that is testimony@council.nyc.gov. At this time and going forward, no one is to approach the dais. I repeat, no one is to approach the dais. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Thank you. Before we start the hearing, I'd like to just note, it is on. Let me just pull it closer. Before we start the hearing, I would just like to note who is here from the fire department to testify today. We have Chief Evan Suschecki, Chief of Fleet, Captain Michael Leo, Head of Robotics, Chief Michael Myers, Chief of Safety Command, Chief Daniel Murray, Chief of Hazmat, and Richard Nash, FDNY Hazmat. Thank you all for coming today. Good morning. I am Councilmember Joanne Ariola, and I am Chair to the Fire and Emergency Management Committee. I want to thank you all for being here today for the hearing, which is an oversight of the state of the fire department's equipment. Today's hearing, we hope to hear from the fire department on the current state of their equipment, which includes rigs, such as engines and ladders, and field communication systems, such as radio devices and various operational capabilities the department has improved over the years. Additionally, we hope to discuss personnel equipment, such as bunker gear, and the department's capabilities to properly clean after firefighters return from their duties. In light of the tremendous increase in e-bike related fires in the city we have seen in the past few years, it is in this committee's particular interest to hear how personal gear is properly sanitized when returning from fires attributed to lithium-ion batteries. We also plan to examine the state of equipment used by our city's emergency medical services and how the department has made improvements to administering medical care and improving on EMS technology. I would like to mention that last week the Council passed Intro number 126A, of which I am a co-sponsor, that helps ensure the safety of our EMS personnel by affording them proper ballistic and stab-resistant vests. Furthermore, I will inquire about the city's ambulance fleet and how the department has improved ambulance services over the years, and if there are any long-standing issues pertaining to ambulance maintenance. I look forward to hearing from the administration, as I feel this will be a thoroughly informative hearing on the state of the department's equipment. I will now address the members of the administration providing testimony today. Please raise your right hands. Do you affirm to tell the truth and answer all questions to the best of your ability? Thank you. You may proceed.
Good morning, Chair Ariola and members of the Fire and Emergency Committee. My name is Michael Myers, and I am the Chief of Safety for the FDNY. I am joined today by Deputy Chief Dan Murray of the FDNY Hazardous Materials Unit, Chief of Fleet Services Evan Suschecki, Captain Mike Leo of the Robotics Unit. We thank you for your opportunity to discuss FDNY tools and equipment today. As the Chief of Safety, I oversee the safety of fire members, EMS members, and the civilians who work for the department. Ours is a very dangerous job. We can't reduce all risk, but the focus of the Safety Command is to reduce the risk to our members to the greatest degree possible. My team consists of the Research and Development Unit, which works with members and outside vendors to ensure that our tools and equipment are top of the line and are suitable to meet the needs of the department, and also to make sure that we keep our citizens safe. My unit also includes the Fire Injury and Death Investigation Unit, which undertakes an extensive review and investigates all operations that result in a serious injury or death of a firefighter. As we often say, no member of the department dies in vain. We know the best way to honor a member who dies or suffers a serious injury is to learn from the incident and make any changes necessary to make the operation safer to our members. Another unit within safety is the handy-talkie recording unit. We record all communications amongst our members, so we routinely review these communications from operations to understand what went right, what went wrong, and where we can make improvements. It's also an invaluable training component to our field units to listen to themselves on the fire ground as they go out and speak and communicate with each other, and they'll know what the right things to say on the fire ground and the necessary things to say are. Safety Command also includes 3 battalion chiefs and 2 captains who respond to third alarm fires and higher to assist at the scene of complex incidents. We work with the Bureau of Health Services, the FDNY Bureau of Health Services, to understand injury trends so we can assess whether any equipment or tools used in the field are malfunctioning or are not working properly for our needs so we can make adjustments. We also work with the Bureau of Training to make sure that we use what we learn from accident investigations to help improve member training and reduce the number of injuries that are suffered in the field. We work with the fire and EMS operations to address methods and procedures in the field that might lead to unsafe conditions. We also consider it part of our mission to educate our members about safety issues and help them understand on an individual basis how they can help themselves and help the department stay safe. We do this through producing literature, webcasts, and many other educational materials that we distribute to the field on a daily basis. As an example, we have created materials to help members learn about their gear and personal protective equipment so that they have an understanding of how their equipment works and how to make sure that they are using it properly so they can be the safest possible. Historically, the fire department has moved forward in leaps and bounds in terms of the safety level of the gear that our members wear and use when they operate at fires and emergencies. When I first joined the fire department 33 years ago, the gear was not what we had today. We got bunker gear. When I first came on, we had rubber boots, a helmet, and a fire coat. Our time as a direct result of the attention that the department has given to the safety of our equipment, our gear, has evolved into a protective bunker gear ensemble. We have a high bar for equipment to be used by the FDNY firefighters. It has to be maneuverable, it has to be durable, and has to provide the fire protection necessary to avoid burns and injuries. Considering the number of burns and injuries that we have regularly sustained using the equipment of my youth versus what our members operate in today, there simply is no comparison. Our members now have a significantly greater chance of ending their shift safely than at any time in the history of the FDNY. It's the metric that we use to measure our success. We want everybody to go home at the end of the day in the same condition that they arrived when they came in. And we will never stop trying to improve our methods and our equipment to make sure our members have the best possible chance of being safe. My colleagues who are here with me today all have that same mission, and their units contribute to that goal of safety in different ways. Chief Murray and his team at Hazmat are experts in understanding how to safely deal with hazardous materials. They receive specialized training to identify and isolate hazards, protect first responders, and rescue and decontaminate potential victims. Hazmat is trained to perform at a wide range of incidents, from minor spills or chemical releases to full-scale terrorism involving chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive threats. In recent years, they have developed and executed procedures for handling incidents involving lithium-ion batteries and micro-mobility devices. As this committee knows, lithium-ion batteries may present enormous challenges to firefighters, whether they are at the source of the fire or they become involved in a fire that originated from a separate cause. Even after a fire is extinguished, these batteries have shown a propensity for reignition and explosion. The department has implemented a variety of procedures to respond effectively and as safely as possible. This includes responding companies submerging batteries and hazardous materials units taking possession, overpacking these batteries and materials, maintaining backup hose lines, and ensuring that these products which emit dangerous toxins when compromised are properly packed and transported after a fire incident. Chief Shisekki oversees FDNY's fleet services. His team keeps department apparatus in good repair and available for frontline first responders. The department has roughly 2,500 vehicles in all, including many specialized fire engines and EMS ambulances. Vehicles come in and out of FDNY repair shops for a variety of reasons, including preventative maintenance, accidents, replacing parts and equipment, and upgrades. Fire department apparatus receive a lot of wear and tear on the city streets, and ambulances, in particular, operate on a near constant basis 24 hours a day, so they receive oil changes, brake checks, tire inspections, and other preventative measures more frequently than the average consumer vehicle. Lastly, Captain Leo's robotics unit plays a vital role in innovation and enhancing fire department operations through cutting-edge technology. The fire department was the first city agency to operate a drone in the field. We've come a long way since the original models, which were tethered and limited in their maneuverability. Captain Leo's team monitors and reviews evolving drone technology on an ongoing basis, assessing new features and advances in design and upgrading the fire department's fleet so that we're using the best equipment to assist our members at incidents. Drone pilots receive extensive training that focuses on safely flying their aircraft, providing useful information, and in doing so in a manner that preserves the privacy of individuals. Drones have become a tremendously valuable component of an emergency response. The information they provide to incident commanders cannot be duplicated from the ground or through radio transmissions. We brought a video today that we think will give a clear idea of their utility. The team has recently expanded to include robotics, including a dog, that we will show you a demonstration on today, and then gladly take your questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we see your presentation, I'd just like to note that Councilmember Susan Zhuang has joined us. We're just fixing a technical difficulty. It'll be just a moment.
Okay, right here, I'm just going to give a little commentary on this. Is a third alarm. This is a recent fire in the Bronx on April 5th. You could see how advantageous it is to have an aerial image. It adds so much safety and efficiency to our operations and lets the incident commanders make real-time decisions of where the fire is, how we're progressing, and the overall operation. We can go to the next slide. These are very short clips, but it'll show you. The next slide is our thermal imaging sensor. It's the exact same, it's being recorded at the same time as the other image. But here, now we can see a lot of the hot spots, the red spots, where heat is being emitted from. And then we can slide. These are very short clips. We can go to the next one. The next one is from, we'll see, we'll advance it. This is from Easter in Brooklyn, and this is a side-by-side comparison of the two sensors. And they both have great worth. You could see that the roof has collapsed into the building. We could see the hot spots again. One of the things we're able to do is give the tower ladders who are applying the water a view of what they're hitting, because sometimes they can't see with the amount of smoke. And you can see from the left image how much clearly we can see with the thermal image. Can advance. This is the crane collapse on 10th Avenue, and you know, this was an event that I don't think we've ever really seen or had to deal with ever before. It did damage to the building across the street and then fell to the ground. We can advance to the next one. Can we go back to the, yeah, that should be a video. All right, well, if it isn't playing, so we had a great view of this crane from the drone, so much so we can see under it, around it, over it, very close up. We were able to share the video feed with the members operating the hose line, and as they were operating, they were kind of far off, and it was very difficult for them to gauge. But as we shared that feed, they were able to boost the pressure and get the water to where it needed to be to extinguish this fire. We can advance, yep. So this is the Ann Street collapse. We could play the video. You could see Berg, which we have here today, enter the building. That was a decision made by the incident commander. We had a secondary collapse, a small one, but we didn't want to send members in. And at the time, that was the best, that was almost the last resort where we had the robot go in to identify a patient, as well as look at the structural stability of the building. Can advance, yeah. So this is a video now of the drones operating at that event. This was one of the first events that we had multiple robotic equipment operated at the same time, including other agencies, as New York City Emergency Management as well as NYPD were there. And having this overhead imagery was, again, very advantageous for the incident commander to see what was going on with the building and where members were, and very good for safety. We can advance. I think that it's playing. This is life safety overwatch that we do at Rockaway Beach now, otherwise maybe known as Shark Watch. We started Shark Watch last summer. It went quickly in the beginning because we were asked to do it in the mid-season, and we learned a lot over the half of the year. We could advance one to the next video. Hopefully this plays. Okay. So you can see here what we can see from the sky. We can see rip currents, and we can see a person struggling. So it was great that we could see swimmers in distress. So although we're looking for sharks, the risk assessment shows that swimmers in distress happen much more often. So we deal with the lifeguards and basically communicate with them of where somebody might be. They did a phenomenal job. On this particular day, we watched the lifeguards do 15 rescues just like this one, just in that one area. So the lifeguards just do an incredible job. But we're able to kind of identify those rip currents at the beach and tell the lifeguards, hey, maybe we should keep people out of the water to prevent that from happening in the first place. At the end of the season, we work outside of the lifeguard hours, just by an hour on each end. At the end of the season, while we were wrapping up, we found a woman who was struggling outside, and now there's no lifeguards on duty. So the drone actually found the woman, and basically the drone, this would be one of the first times that I'd say, with certainty that the drone saved that woman's life. We were about to go in the water ourselves, but we found some lifeguards who were off duty walking away, and they went in the water without their safety equipment and rescued her. And that was a telltale sign that these drones are very important for water rescues as well. And we could stop the video. That's the end.
As a council member that represents the Rockaways, that is such an important feature for us, because we have so many drownings on the Rockaway Peninsula over every summer, and you're right, it's always on off hours for the lifeguards, and that is a welcome component, so thank you for that. So, what is the current protocol for equipment exposure, particularly bunker gear to lithium-ion batteries? This is something that's new. I know, we're really it's kind of evolving. So I would love to hear what's happening.
So we've had lithium-ion batteries, right? They didn't just come into existence. They're just more prevalent in society now today. So we have had fires in the past where we had exposure to them. It's only now that they're becoming, as we go more green, that they're becoming greater and greater in society. So right now, actually, we're participating in a study with Arizona State University, where we're actually taking gear and also our members, blood from our members when they are exposed to these fires, some of our special operations folks, and we're sending the blood out to Arizona State and the gear out there as well to help as cutting edge to try to see what people are exposed to with this. In New York City, we're getting more of these type of fires and raising the awareness around the country as well to other departments. So we're at the tip of the spear as far as right now trying to figure out exactly how it affects our members, and also cleaning up that gear and how it affects the gear as well. So after a lithium-ion battery fire, Safety Command would send out an email to our units who operated there to have their gear sent to our decon support unit in order to get it clean, which is over in Corona.
I just would like to note that we've been joined by Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa. So you take the bunker gear and then you send it out for sanitizing. And is it the same type of sanitizing that's done on a regular bunker gear from a regular fire when the firefighters send their bunker gear out?
Sure. Our NFPA standards, National Fire Protection Association standards, have us send gear out. Each set of gear has to be cleaned twice a year. So we send that out to an independent service provider to go out and get cleaned. Right now we're using Gear Wash, which is in the Bronx. That contract is up and expiring. So I'm not sure what fiscal is going to do with it yet. Could be Gear Wash or Lion Care, which is someone else who will be operating within the city. They set up a facility. But what we do is we send that there. They inspect the gear, clean the gear, and repair any gear as necessary. We also were lucky enough on the FDNY, through the help of the City Council in the past, to have a decon support unit that operates out of Corona that's able to clean up to 100 sets of bunker gear a day. So anytime we have anything exposed to a bloodborne pathogen, hazmat, or if our members feel like their gear needs to be cleaned, we can clean it even more so than what the national standard is by sending it to them and having it back within 24 to 48 hours.
That's great, and we are, as a body, working on pulling more money together so that we can get more laundry sites for the FDNY to have their bunker gear clean, because that's very, very important, especially their hoods, as you know, because of the uptick in thyroid cancer. So I'm going to switch gears a little. During fiscal year 2021, there were 516 ambulances in service per day when compared to 466 this fiscal year. What do we attribute that decrease to?
So as far as the actual ambulances in service, when we hit a high, it's taken into consideration that about 15% of that number is our voluntary out of service that we're taking out of service to do our preventative maintenance cycle. We take those out of service, about 12 of them a day, to prevent further out of service time and mechanical issues. And what we do is we bring every ambulance in, we do a full 70-point inspection, which takes up to several days sometimes to ensure that the vehicle is safe and road ready. So now that COVID set us back when we were experiencing shortages with chassis and chip manufacturing, we could kind of have a slightly older fleet than we did at that time. So right now, where we have 61% of our vehicles under warranty, at that point it was a higher number, which attributed to a lower out of service.
So I know there have been a number of reports that came out that shows a decrease in response times, but of course not to critical responses. We have to make that clear. Critical responses are being attended to within a short period of time. But do you think that what you just mentioned has affected the decrease in some ambulance response times?
I think it may have a slight impact on decrease in response times. However, fleet operations' main responsibility is to ensure that EMS operations has enough vehicles on the road to run their specified amount of tours. So regardless of what our out-of-service percentage is, we always ensure that they have enough ambulances to put their personnel on the road and respond to the assignments.
And does the department plan to increase the daily number of ambulances? Are you purchasing more ambulances, or
So
that
we're on
kind
a
of at a
steady
standstill?
purchasing cycle. We'd like to get that down a little bit so we can ensure that all of our ambulances are under warranty, which would obviously decrease the amount of out-of-service time and work
Right.
that's done in-house. But COVID set us back with that. We were probably at a 6-year replacement cycle, where now we're at between 6 and 7. And at a 5-year warranty of those vehicles, obviously it would be better for us to have them all under warranty, where, you know, the manufacturer or the vendor would be responsible for any work.
And I was encouraged to hear that the type of maintenance and inspections are more often than you would do on a regular vehicle. So that's very good to know.
Correct. It's much more frequent. So ambulance preventative maintenance cycle is every 45 days, regardless of the amount of mileage on the vehicle, because every minute that the vehicle is idling when it's on an assignment actually attributes to mileage driven. So it doesn't actually incur mileage on the vehicle, but it incurs that wear and tear. Excuse me, that wear and tear. So we use that 45-day number to ensure that the vehicles come in, we do that maintenance, we do a top-to-bottom maintenance, and that actually prevents further problems down the road for these vehicles that are running 24/7.
Yeah, and the EMS, you guys do a great job.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Really great job. So we see a lot of different technological things that are coming in, whether it's the dog or drones. So how is the department administering training for these types of new technologies to EMS and fire department?
Yeah, so usually when we bring a new technology in, what we do is with research and development and with a couple of our committees, is that we'll take something in, we'll look at it, operations, training, safety, fleet, as well as our fiscal folks will come in, we'll see how it fits in. Can we use it? Can we not use it? We meet as a group, and then from there, we'll decide if we want to pilot something. Usually we'll go with a 9-month pilot. That way we get 3 seasons out of it, because we know in New York, we get all kinds of different weather. So we want to make sure that most manufacturers or people that make things, they'll tell us that it's the most phenomenal product ever. We sometimes discover during that 9 months that if, you know, like they say, you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Sometimes they can't make it here. So that's why it's important before we spend our money and put all that effort into it. We make sure that it can work. So we'll grab a small part of the city, depending upon who we think will best be suited for, and we'll put them, you know, put the pilot in that particular area and then make sure that it works properly before we put anything out there. Once we do find a product that works or a technology that works, we'll immediately go to training. We kind of do like a almost six-sided approach, just like we do with searching a building, and that's we'll send it out, stuff on our diamond plate. We'll have LMS, which is another system, a learning management system that we have, as well as going to do some face-to-face training and also some hands-on training with that as well, to make sure that everybody knows how to use it properly, because technology is only as good as the people who know how to use it.
Right, and how often are those training classes held?
It would all depend on what kind of technology that we're implementing, how often that we do that. Most of the time, we'll go by whatever the NFPA standards are. When we first initially introduce something to the field, we make sure that we have a lot more training involved with it at that time than when it's out there and people are regularly using it. But we have a drill periods each day in each firehouse, and also EMS has a drill period as well, where we're looking at stuff for at least an hour a day and working with our tools and equipment to make sure we know how to use it properly, and even that new folks coming into the firehouse know where it is, how to use it, and how to work proficiently with it.
I do notice that you brought some cadets with you today, so I just want to say to the cadets, you should be proud, because you're entering a wonderful department, and you never know, one of you may be sitting up here, so pay attention. One day it may be you that's being questioned by, another set of council members. But I'm really glad that you did bring the cadets. It's important that they know what happens. So, you mentioned earlier that firefighting equipment has changed from when maybe you started to now. Can you just give us like what type of improvements have happened, with the gear that and the equipment over the years?
Sure, absolutely. One of the biggest changes, obviously, was when we got bunker gear in 1993, which was the result of a Watch Street fire right here in Manhattan, where 3 of our firefighters were lost. At that time, then the city council, along with the mayor at the time, Mayor Giuliani, made sure that we got bunker gear at that point. A lot of the country was using it at that point. We were one of the last departments to move in that direction. Not sure of the reasons why. Obviously, I was a brand new firefighter then. But that was one of the biggest technological changes for us, was getting that on. A lot of different training and a lot came of that. When we're in our full bunker gear ensemble now, even with the latest and greatest, which we're always trying out, having vendors come in and approaching our research development almost on a weekly basis. Even with that ensemble, every firefighter you see walking into a building with their breathing device and bunker gear on has over 100 pounds of equipment on them. So, they're getting a full workload, and we have to make sure that that gear breathes right, works right, and that we're able to operate in that to help protect the citizens of New York. So that's been the greatest advance. Again, I couldn't help but watching those drone footage before, which is an incredible advance for me as an incident commander. When I think about 1991, when I first came on, we would have to describe to the incident commander what we saw and what was happening, and he would have to draw a visual, or she would have to draw a visual in their mind as to what we were describing as we were at that level. That was before the advent of cell phones and everything being out there. So it's just incredible to see how now we get that in there. It also helps us save police aviation. We team up with police aviation. We put a battalion chief to do air recon. They go to Floyd Bennett Field, and then they'll fly them to wherever our fire ground was. So most of the time, as an incident commander on scene at a large-scale emergency, I can turn that asset back now, and then that way the police can use their asset for what they need it for, and we have that drone footage that's providing the most amazing information to us. We also have our handy-talkie, or radios, which again, when I first came on, every member of the department didn't have a radio on. So now every member of our department has a radio with an emergency alert button, so that we're able to communicate if we get in any kind of trouble on the fire ground or on the emergency ground. So we're able to communicate that to the incident commander, and we're able to get help much faster and much quicker than what we would have been in the 1990s, so to speak. So we're always on the cutting edge of everything that happens technologically. And being the largest fire department in the country, second largest in the world, but still I think we're the best in the world. We're always having people come in to do what we need them to do and show us all their latest and greatest stuff, because if they have it, we'd like to see it and see if it can help save some citizens.
That's wonderful. And when the bunker gear, needs replacement, or the Scott packs, or any apparatus that you spoke about, I know that a lot of times when we fund things, procurement can take forever. What is the time frame from the time that you need the new apparatus to the time that you get it?
So if you're referring to fire apparatus, the department is under contractual obligation to replace at certain timelines as negotiated with the city. So we work with our fiscal department and OMB to ensure that the funding is in place in order for us to get purchase orders in place and deal with the vendor to do our best to meet those obligations of mandatory replacements.
As far as bunker gear replacement goes, we have a quartermaster system located out of Fort Totten in Queens, where if a member has gear that for some reason that we need to retire or put out of service because of something it's been exposed to, what we can do then is send the member to Fort Totten, to that quartermaster system. They could get replacement gear almost immediately that day or the next day, whenever they get the chance to go there. So we have stuff in stock on a regular basis to make sure we're able to do that.
Do my colleagues have any questions right now? Okay. Then I shall continue. So I want to talk about the CAD system. So what enhancements, if any, has the department made to their computer-aided dispatch or CAD system?
So this would not be my area of expertise, but I know that the CAD system was recently updated on the fire side. I believe EMS is going into a contract, or they have an RFI out there right now to look for vendors to see who's going to make up that CAD system. Evan probably would be able to speak a little bit better about the EMS system. But the fire system was just recently done. They had a couple of little tweaks in the beginning, just like any new computer system that goes citywide. But I think that they've corrected everything that they've had, any issues that they might have had. And I know that the fire side is, when I talk to the folks in communications, extremely happy with the product that they have, and it was developed. The one we had before that was from 1971, so you can imagine that it was long overdue to be replaced.
Oh, agreed.
So it's a much more efficient and proficient system, for the fire side. And I know EMS should be working their way towards that soon.
Yeah, just like Chief Myers says, it's really not my area of expertise, but I know that the entire technology department, uses the best of their abilities to support the historical legacy system and keep it up and running while they're moving towards procuring a new system.
Okay, when the department needs more resources, such as technological advances in equipment, what are the steps that you take to ensure that this is needed? And are there any federal constraints that the department encounters when looking to expand their technological equipment used in firefighting and emergency medical services?
Usually the steps that we would go to, again, would first be to identify the product. We'd have to see what we wanted or what we thought would be helpful to both the department and also making sure that, it works for the citizens in New York City. So what we would do at that point is we would have a discussion with operations and the chief of department and commissioner's office if we really needed something or thought something would really enhance our operations, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. At that point, we actually, federal, we don't really have constraints as far as that goes. A lot of time we get a lot of our new stuff through grant funding. And we also get it, thankfully, from you folks in the city council working with us as well. Almost every council member comes to the department at some point during the year and to our borough commanders and offers help, which we greatly appreciate in getting those tools and technologies out there, because it does cut down on the process that would ordinarily take. I would say if we saw something we like today on an ordinary basis, it takes about 2 years for us after we pilot it and then to be able to purchase it and get it in service. With training, that would take about 2 years. By working with the city council and also working with our grant partners, with our grant office who works with federal and state, a lot of times we can cut down on that significantly, where we'd get that in service probably within a year. So it cuts it in the time in half.
Thank you. They appreciate it. Let's talk about the marine fire suppression operation. How many vessels are there in the department right now?
Again, not my area of expertise. I would go with, I believe marine unit-wise, I know we have 3 stations. We probably have about, I think we have 2 big boats, one in Staten Island, one in Brooklyn, one in Manhattan. So I'd say three of the larger scale boats. And then we have probably about 20 to 25 smaller vessels that can respond much more quickly. And then during the summer, we also put units in service, you know, in the areas that are more used by our residents, you know, for water recreation. And then a lot more boats on the water during the summer. So I would say roughly about 20 units go in service to assist with that effort as well, making sure that, again, we can protect the people in New York who are on the water as well as on the land.
Yeah, you were almost down one, so I'm glad you got it back. That was a very important one, actually. And how often do the vessels require maintenance?
So I would say, again, that much like fleet services, I would think marine is the same. I would think that they probably go on a quarterly basis. We have a whole section dedicated over at the Brooklyn Navy Yard that takes care of all those vessels and makes sure that they're always in proper working order. Every time I go over by there, I know that they're taking something apart, changing something, changing the oil. I wouldn't know the exact scheduling on that, but I would guess it's the same thing quarterly, and then yearly certifications probably that they have to have in order to stay in service.
And how many firefighters do you have on that specific unit?
Depends on the size of the boat. I know on the larger scale boats, we have about 8. On the smaller boats, we'd have 3.
Yeah. I had the great pleasure of going out on one once. We took a ride out, and extremely impressive. I'm not sure, this is the last part of the questioning, but I'm not sure that anyone has area of expertise in like firehouse facilities and any type of maintenance. Would that be something that is under your purview?
Again, we could broadly answer those questions. Being in safety, I get a lot of those
Okay.
different issues that come to us, so I could definitely talk about some of them.
So how often are firehouses visited for regular maintenance to see if they need plumbing or any type of roof work or things of that nature?
Yeah, so we usually do, what we usually would do if we were in the firehouse, if you're working there, is you would put a work order into our buildings and maintenance division. Again, since COVID, they're down a great number of folks and people, like a lot of the different entities. But if they put a work order in, depending upon they'll prioritize it based on how quickly they need to get there to fix it. But they'll respond in to, you know, fix that or repair those as soon as possible. We also get a yearly inspection of our facilities by a deputy chief each year. We'll walk through with the members to do that. And I'll let Evan talk about EMS as far as how that goes.
It's a similar setup where as work is needed, you put something in the system and facilities will come out and evaluate it based on priority need. And the state as well also inspects for the EMS stations, I believe, every 5 years.
Okay, great. And you were talking earlier about, you know, safety equipment on their body, you know, radios and such. Do they have locators on their gear as well, in case they're stuck in a building?
Unfortunately, at this time still, no one has developed the technology in order to give us the location of a member exactly. Each mask has a device in it where if we're on the same level as them, we have a pack tracker that can get us to that member if they're in distress. But unfortunately, we don't have anything yet outside of a building, or no vendor has come up with. They could show us if we're on the same level or where they are in a building, and they can't tell us what floor they're on. So depending upon what borough you're operating in, obviously that could be a difficult task. We could see where they are, but we
Right.
wouldn't know what floor they're on. So the companies are trying to develop it as quickly as possible. We're constantly looking for it. I know the department sends myself and a bunch of people from research and development out to conferences to check with vendors all the time to see what they have, and nobody has really come up with anything yet that would work in New York City. Again, we're a very complex city, being 5 boroughs, completely different construction in each borough, so it's very difficult to find a technology that would work in each and every borough.
I appreciate that. If there are no questions from members of the panel, Okay, then I think we can dismiss our,
Would you like to see a demonstration of the robot real quick?
I would love to see a demonstration of the robot
So
dog.
we'll do this real quick. Okay, so this is one of our ground robots. It's made by Boston Dynamics. The model is Spot Explorer, but we named this one Berg. Berg is named after Henry Berg, who was the founder of the ASPCA and also a New Yorker. This robot works in conjunction with another robot, and they could communicate with each other, and both of them carry different sensors to do a specific job. They respond to subterranean incidents, hazardous material incidents, collapsed structures, and they basically represent a response for a low occurrence, high consequence event, something that's very severe. So we've had robots in the past that had tracks, but we found that the quadruped, which makes it look like a dog almost, is advantageous, and it helps to traverse mild to medium terrains up to 12 inches. So it moves in a way that, you know, is effective and can go up and down stairs as well.
Extremely, extremely. And even though he's a robot dog, I can't help but fall in love with you. Thank you so much for that demonstration.
You're welcome. Afterwards, we can do.
Okay, so the panel is dismissed, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to get back to work now. Thank you all for coming. Okay, before we begin the public testimony, I just want to read some public comment protocols. I now open the hearing for public testimony. I remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak on today's hearing, please fill out the appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will be given 3 minutes to speak on today's hearing topic, the state of the FDNY's equipment. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. Audio and video recordings will not be accepted. For folks testifying via Zoom, which I do not believe we have today. We do? Okay. We do have today. I will call your name when it's your turn to provide testimony, and you will be unmuted at that time. At this time, I'd like to recognize Jim Brosi to testify.
Good morning. My name is Jim Brosi. I am the president of the Uniformed Fire Officers Association, and I appreciate you having this hearing on FDNY equipment. It is our belief that the greatest piece of equipment that the FDNY offers is its personnel.
Just going to ask people to either close the door in the back or we can keep it down a bit. Excuse me, and I'm sorry.
No problem. As I stated, I believe the best piece of equipment the FDNY can offer is its personnel. I come here today before you to discuss the expansion of Citi Field. As it has been proposed, the Citi Field expansion is creating a new neighborhood. And as you said in your testimony prior to this, was that timeline matters. How long does it take to get a piece of equipment? How long does it take to purchase an apparatus? The question is, how far in advance do we have to prepare for a firehouse? We've already seen the impact of Hudson Yards, an area and a neighborhood that did not exist, that increased the number of responses in the surrounding units in an isolated area by somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 runs over the last decade. Those runs will only increase as the expansion increases. They are isolated by access points due to the building and the street construction. Citi Field is an exact replica of Hudson Yards, except more isolated. It has more overlapping transportation from both the Long Island Railroad and the 7 train. It has only local access via Northern Boulevard or the Roosevelt Avenue Bridge. It is isolated by Flushing Meadow Park and is blocked out by the Grand Central Parkway. The units around that area are already doing 7,000 runs. The city has already sought fit to add a hotel as well as a school in the area because, according to the Wilpons, they are developing a neighborhood that did not exist. It is one thing to develop around Barclays Center that was already a highly dense wood-framed area and replace it with high-rise multiple dwellings, which is why you've only seen a moderate impact in that running. What you will see in the Citi Field Flushing area is you will see a depletion of services, a dramatic safety impact, because those units cannot absorb any more running. They are already somewhere in the area of 5,800 runs. The distance from those places will increase response times, and the vertical impact of those high-rise buildings will make it very difficult to reach those occupants. There is very little ladder company access. It is surrounded by 2 single-engine companies, and there will be very little support for those people who want to investigate these emergencies. We have done studies on this through a collaboration with the Columbia University, where we had proposed that prior to a zoning change, that the city makes a provision either through a zoning variance or through some other agreement where they purchase property, even if there isn't an immediate use for a firehouse, that we anticipate as the population grows, as the running becomes too overburdensome on the surrounding units, that firehouse or that EMS station gets developed. But unless we build that in advance, as we did in the back end of, say, Lincoln Center, where we proposed a firehouse that sits behind, where it does not aesthetically take away from the area, people aren't affected by the noise, but that these facilities are available. Once the site is built, just like in Hudson Yards, there is no place to add a firehouse, and the property is too expensive for the city to purchase. This must be planned now. We must put this on our timeline. We've discussed every other aspect of the property except fire protection and EMS protection. And that's the number one thing you should provide, other than medical facilities, schooling, and policing, when you develop a neighborhood, especially one being developed from scratch.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I was unaware that a firehouse was not part of that plan, and I will certainly have a conversation with Councilmember Moya. And, because we just did vote on this at the last stated meeting, and this is something that really should be put into place. Thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you very much for your time.
I'd like now to call on Adam Roberts from the Community Housing Improvement Program on mute. You should be able to unmute yourself, Mr. Roberts.
Starting time.
Thank you for holding this hearing today. I am Adam Roberts, Policy Director for the Community Housing Improvement Program, also known as CHIP. We represent New York's housing providers, including apartment building owners and managers. We are here to express our concern about the lack of sufficient equipment for FDNY to fight fires in apartment buildings. In particular, it appears as though FDNY does not have the equipment necessary to combat the sharp rise in e-bike fires. Currently, when illegal lithium battery is discovered in an apartment building, FDNY requires building staff to safely remove the battery. DEP then requires the building owners to hire a third-party service to dispose of the battery. Building staff lack the equipment and expertise to handle the proper removal of lithium batteries. Even if they were to have better equipment and training, they lack the legal right to access an occupied apartment. Likewise, we have safety concerns about the city requiring that the disposal of such deadly technology be outsourced. The only explanation for such an illogical system of dealing with e-bike fires is that the FDNY lacks the necessary equipment to deal with them. We do not know what equipment is needed, though we have heard of many promising ideas. Nevertheless, it is clear that a well-equipped FDNY is in a better position to handle the removal and disposal of lithium batteries than building staff and third-party disposal companies. Furthermore, placing the onus on buildings to deal with e-bike fires is a financial burden they cannot afford, particularly for rent-stabilized buildings. Net operating income, which is the amount of income a unit produces before debt service, is dropping dangerously fast throughout the city. Therefore, owners cannot afford to bear the cleanup costs and rising insurance rates that come from dealing with e-bike fires. In the Bronx, net operating income for pre-1974 rent-stabilized buildings, which are those that do not receive 421A or any form of government subsidy, dropped nearly 20% in 1 year. FDNY has the training in dealing with e-bike fires and the legal ability to access occupied apartments with lithium batteries. Therefore, we need the council to ensure FDNY has the necessary equipment to prevent these fires from proliferating. Again, thank you for holding this hearing today.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Before we close out, I would just like to recognize that we were joined by Councilmember Jim Gennaro via Zoom and Councilmember Kevin Riley. At this point, and Oswald Feliz. At this point, if there are no questions, then I will close this hearing. Thank you all who testified. I'd also like to thank Rachel Cordero, our supervising attorney, Josh Kingsley, our counsel to this committee, Will Hongash, our senior analyst, and my amazing chief of staff, Ms. Phyllis Cirillo, and to everyone who testified here today. Thank you so much.